Hello everyone, I'm Rosevere, and in this video I'm going to talk about covenants and setting proper expectations for them so that when people are able to see them for the first time, they're not super disappointed. So that's not to say that covenants are bad, because they're not all bad. Some parts of them are bad because they're super restrictive in ways that don't really make a whole lot of sense with respec times and swapping from one to the other and going back to the other one, that kind of thing. There's a whole lot of barriers in place, and it's just not all of it makes a whole lot of sense, right? And those are the parts that are bad, but in general, covenants, not necessarily a bad idea, but I do see that there's a lot of people out there that have unrealistic expectations for what covenants are going to be, and I just want to kind of settle those if possible right here. The fuck was that? What? Did you guys just hear? Oh my god. Oh my god. What the fuck? Blizzard? Blizzard, you did this on purpose. What the fuck? Okay. Okay. I don't know what that was. That was fucking weird. Okay, I'm gonna get back to the video. That was fucking weird though. So the best way I can think of to explain covenants and kind of set a proper expectation for what they're going to be is think of classic World of Warcraft or Burning Crusade or even Wrath of the Lich King, and your capstone talent in a specific tree. Like for warriors you would have Mortal Strike as a capstone talent, or Bloodthirst, those kind of things. Think of your covenant pick as your capstone talent for your class or your spec or whatever you're playing. And a good example of this is actually the Warlock. So I decided to go ahead and film this here because they have two AoE abilities that have single target components and then two heavy single target abilities, and they really don't have a whole lot of uniqueness to them, at least in my mind. Like, they're kind of unique as far as like spells go in World of Warcraft, but I'm going to go ahead and show those off here and talk about why they would be more of like a capstone talent in a talent tree, and that's kind of how you should view these. So I'm not going to go over these in huge detail, but starting off with the Kyrian here, there's kind of like it's a single target damaging ability that has a really long duration and kind of low damage dot, and it's not too exciting. It's just something you can kind of set it and forget it, that kind of thing. And then you have the Night Fae here, which is a single target nuke with splash damage, and then a dot that goes afterwards that's actually kind of higher damage than what the Kyrian ability was. And this ability here from the Venthyr, it's kind of an AoE ability, but you have to set it up in a specific way where it will hit anything that it goes through on its way to the target. So it's very positional based, and if you're in a bad position, it's not really going to help you out that much. The damage isn't huge on it. It's kind of average, I guess. It's not super impressive. And then here with the I'm forgetting them, the Dreadlords. Forgetting the name of the Covenant, but it doesn't matter. This ability is a nuke that empowers your next 3 spells for specific spells like Shadow Bolt, and I think Drain Soul was one of them. I don't remember. They did a lot. They made a lot of changes to the Warlock abilities to the point where I don't really know what's going on with them anymore because it's been changed so many times over the past few weeks. And yeah, so it's essentially like you're picking a capstone talent in a talent tree that makes it kind of special in a way, but the problem with these abilities is the fact that it takes so much effort to respec, right? Like in Classic, you just spend 50 gold depending on how many times you've respec'd, and you can pick a new capstone talent in your talent tree, or not even pick a capstone talent tree at all, or talent, and just kind of spread it, your points everywhere. There's much more freedom in Classic as far as that goes, but essentially that's kind of how I feel about these. They're not like super game changing or anything like that. The classes function perfectly fine without them, and in some cases they actually function better without the abilities. Now, I don't know every spec of every class, obviously, but that's just kind of the feel that I've got from the 3 different classes that I've tested with Shadow Priest, Shaman, and Warlock. So, moving on to the Soulbind talent trees, they're very similar to, they're kind of a mixture of, I should say, glyphs and talent trees. So if you took the old school glyph system from, say, Wrath of the Lich King or Cataclysm, where they actually had sort of an effect on your actual player character, and they changed the way that your player character played. This system is similar to that in that you can place specific glyphs, I guess, or soulbinds into different slots. So you get to kind of mix and match your own talent tree with the set talent tree that's already existing, and that's kind of cool. It's a throwback to Classic, bringing back this old school sort of like mini talent tree type thing. It's not super game changing either. Obviously it's going to be super important that you pick these up if you're a high end player, but for most people these things are just kind of thrown by the wayside because they're not super important, right? Like they don't change the way that your character plays for the most part. They don't like add like special procs or new abilities, anything like that. So it's more stat based and like increasing the damage of something, or after you do something. I don't know. It's one of those things that it's really cool in concept, but it's not quite there because it feels like they really like the classic talent tree system. How do we implement that in Shadowlands? I know we could do this sort of system and just like slap it together real quick and give them like bonus stats and stuff. It's like, okay, yeah, I mean, the bonus stats thing, like I know a lot of people think it's really boring, but just from a purely RPG perspective, having 5% haste, increased and stuff like that, it sounds boring, but the idea of that from an RPG standpoint is really cool. And they said that they're trying to go more towards the RPG roots, I guess, with Shadowlands and things like that. So I can see what they're trying to do. I just don't really see it being communicated very well through this system. Now, like I said, it's important to have if you're a top end player, but if you're just the average player that's going to be playing the game, not really doing high end Mythic Plus, not raiding very much, just kind of mount collecting, doing whatever, this system won't affect you in any way. Like you probably could just ignore it and be totally fine going through Classic, and in my opinion, that's a problem. So those are my thoughts on the Covenant Soulbind trees, and the capstone abilities, I guess, is the best way to describe that. That's kind of how I feel about it. That's how I feel like people should approach this system, because honestly, it's not super important, like I said, unless you're a high-end player. Your choice won't matter. I mean, you just basically pick whatever you think is coolest, and it won't really affect you too much. And I know based on what I've been seeing on the forums that's going to upset a lot of people, or at least, some people, some of the loud minority, the vocal minority, I guess, because there's it seems like, or at least sounds like, a rather large group of people that think this is going to be a huge game-changing thing where Covenants are going to like save World of Warcraft and all this other stuff. It's like, honestly, it's not that big of a change. It's nothing we haven't seen before. It's not like this super exciting thing. The coolest thing that's coming from it is the transmog stuff. Like honestly, like that's the coolest thing that's coming from it. And for the average player, that's really the only thing that matters to them. And it's just it's not going to be this big game changing thing. You're going to pick the talent that you like the most, essentially. This ability that you like the most. Some people are going to pick based on which transmog they think is coolest, and that's just how it's going to be. Like there's not this huge game changing thing. There's not this huge like World of Warcraft altering like factor that's coming in Shadowlands, and I'm worried that a lot of people are going to be really upset when they see this, because they very obviously think that this is going to be the greatest thing that's ever happened to World of Warcraft, and I don't know. I think they're setting themselves up for disappointment. So, with all that being said, thank you all for watching. I've got a couple more videos coming along this week. I'm going to try to up the amount of videos that I'm making. So, hopefully I'll have those out soon. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.